years. And as you see in 2013, the Bitcoin marketplace surpasses $1 billion. And later on, the changes are made and the technology and various versions of the blockchain has been introduced. Uh, Blockchain 1.0, 2.0, and blockchain 3.0. And currently, the version that we are using is blockchain 3.0, which is called applications, or you can say that D apps. So this all is the journey of the blockchain. So now everyone sitting here is eager to know that what blockchain is. So before going to that part, let's take an example. So when you go for a vote in elections, and when you press a button corresponding to the favorite party on the EVM machine, have you ever wondered that there is any kind of guarantee that your vote is actually registered or your vote is actually counted or not? So there is a central agency which provides this guarantee that your vote is actually counted. So that central agency is our election commission. So basically, we trust blindly on the election commission that they will work properly so that our votes to be counted properly. But imagine, like, if we could have guarantee that our vote has been counted by ourselves and no central agency like EC or no other third party is required to count our votes. We do not need to trust anyone or any third party, and our votes has been counted. Do you know that such kind of system has been built using by blockchain? Yes, this is the same technology which is working behind the Bitcoins. So how this is possible and how this blockchain technology works. So come, let's find out in today's session. So blockchain is a list of records called blocks that store data publicly and in a chronological order. The information which is stored in the blockchain keeps encrypted, permanent, and irreversible. So like the picture depicts that a blockchain is a digital ledger which keeps a record of all transactions that are placed peer-to-peer network, which means that we have a network of different peers located at different locations who are connected with each other, and each of the nodes which are connected to this network has their own ledger, which we can say public ledger, which can contain all the data that has been transmitted across the network. So all the information that has been transferred via blockchain is transferred in encrypted form, and every occurrence or record that has been passed through blockchain cannot be altered. So that's why it's mentioned that it's irreversible. So we cannot alter any kind of information that once has been transmitted. The next main feature, or you can say that blockchain is a decentralized system. So decentralized system is a system in which we do not require any central agency. Like in my previous example, I mentioned that election commission is our central agency who controls or provides guarantee that our votes are counted properly. But in case of blockchain, we do not have any kind of central agency who control or provide any kind of authority to the blockchain. The information which has been shared in the encrypted form across multiple providers without risk of a privacy breach. So this is a blockchain. And the next slide is what blockchain is not. So many people has misconceptions that blockchain is a product, is a kind of hardware, is a Bitcoin, but all these misconceptions are wrong. So let's see that what blockchain is not. So first of all, blockchain is not a product. So blockchain is actually a network of nodes which is composed of continuous growing series of blocks. So the blocks which are growing in a series or in a chain, that makes blockchain. So blockchain does not have any kind of product. The next one is hardware. So blockchain is not a hardware. It does not have any physical form and hence is not tangible thing. The next one is Bitcoin. So blockchain is not a Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is the cryptocurrency that is used to make payments, and blockchain is the underlying technology made using combining the principles of networking, cryptography, and business philosophy. 100% immutable. So blockchain is a technology which is at its nascent stage or research stage and not fully developed yet. So in fact, one must also keeps in mind that every technology has its own weak points, and blockchain is also has its weak point. So recently the occurrence of Sybil attack and Russian interference of United Nations voting. So Sybil attack is a type of attack in which peer-to-peer networks are seen, in which a node in the network operates multiple identities actively at the same time. So the recent that I mentioned, the example, Russian interference in the United States election is a type of Sybil attack in which multiple fake accounts has been made or operated using Facebook. And the Sybil attack has been made using Tor browser. The other Sybil attack type is multiple fake reviews has been posted on Amazon or other e-commerce sites. So blockchain is not 100% immutable. There is other misconception that it stores assets. So blockchain does not store any kind of assets. It stores the records of the flow of the asset across various parties, not just confined to finance. So as the first use case of blockchain is Bitcoin, so people probably thinks that or relates that blockchain is only confined to finance sector. But we can find various use cases of blockchain, like for healthcare, social media, as like I just mentioned, voting system, real estates, etc. And the last one is database. So blockchain is not a database, or you can say it's not a straightforward database. And the ledgers are not rows or columns which are stored in a blockchain, but blockchain can be mentioned as a highly enhanced distributed database. So these are the misconceptions that has been taken care while and we understand the blockchain concepts. So now come to the next slide. How does blockchain technology work? So before starting the explanation for this particular blockchain technology, how it works, I just want to know you the some components of the blockchain architecture. So first one is node. So what is node? Node is nothing else. It's a computer in a blockchain architecture which is connected to a blockchain system or blockchain network. The next component is transaction. So transaction is a data record that has been verified by blockchain participants that serve as an almost immutable confirmation of the authenticity. And next is block. So block is the main component which contains all the data in a sealed form, and it has three components. One is data, that is the another one is previous hash, the last one is hash. We will discuss about these components in the coming slides. And The next one is nouns. So now you guys can think that we have listened about the noun in our English language. What is this nouns? So nouns is nothing else. Nouns is just a number used only once. So nouns is a in blockchain is a 32-bit number that's randomly generated when a block is created, which then generates a block header hash. The next block header hash. And the next component is chain. So a chain is an ordered sequence of blocks. And next is miners. The miners are the nodes that validates blocks before adding them to the blockchain architecture. And the last one is consensus. So consensus, you can say like in our networking or any kind of like sports, like in cricket, we have various set of rules. So consensus is a set of rules and agreements for performing blockchain operations. So these all are the main components of a blockchain. So let's go through with this flow diagram, how blockchain technology works. So first of all, a transaction has been initiated and between one or more parties, then it has been encrypted, and then the data is packed in a block in a shared ledger. By shared ledger, it means that all the nodes who are connected in a peer-to-peer network has their own copy of that particular data. Each node has its own data copy. Then the block is broadcasted to participants. Then the nodes who are working as miners in the system validates that block and its data. Once the validation has been completed and consensus or approval given by all the participants, then the new block has been added at the end of previous blocks in the chain. So to complete this consensus or approval, the system requires 51% of approval from all the nodes that are connected to this system. So like it means if we have 100 nodes connected to our blockchain system, then that block is validated and verified only if 51 nodes given their consensus. Only after that our new block has been added at the end of blockchain. Once the block is added to the chain, then it's stored in a blockchain blocks, and the information stored in the block is permanent and we cannot make any kind of alteration in that. Then the transaction is completed and the most updated version of chain is available to all the authorized participants. So this is how blockchain technology works. We can have more details about various components or some components related to blockchain, which will give you more clarity in the next slides. So like we take an example of Reserve Bank of India. So Reserve Bank of India is the one who is responsible for printing all the notes in India, and RBI guarantees that so this is the 500 rupee note that has been printed by RBI, and RBI guarantees that its value is 500 and its value neither 501 nor 502. It's even written on the 500 note by the governor of RBI that I promise to pay the bearer the sum of rupees 500. So which means that RBI guarantees that he or that entity is providing 500 rupees to the bearer, which means RBI is basically a central authority controlling all the Indian rupee notes around the world. So RBI is the one who is responsible or who can change the value of its notes. RBI can increase the production of notes or decrease the production of notes. But this is not in the case of other currencies, like we take an example of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is a decentralized and based on blockchain technology. So no central agency is there to control Bitcoin, and it is possible because Bitcoin is based on the blockchain. And in the blockchain, as a disk decentralized, it means that various nodes are connected throughout the world with each other to made that system. So nodes are not located at same place or not connected to the same network. Nodes are located at different locations, different places within the world. It can be in America, London, England, and any other city, state of or country, you can say. So our Bitcoin is based on blockchain and it is a decentralized way. So now let's see what a block contains. So each block contains some data. So like you can say that अगर मैं हिंदी में कहूँ, अगर ब्लॉक शरीर है तो डेटा उसकी आत्मा. So data is the most important part on which we are performing all our operations, transactions. So data is the main component of a block. Apart from data, we have other two components. One is hash and the other is previous hash. So the hash is the encryption, or you can say that signature security, and hash of previous block is when one or more blocks are connected with each other, they are connecting with a reference, right? So for a reference, you can also consider your book, any novel or any book that you like to read. You can consider that as also as a reference. So in which our page numbers are there in the book. So and all the content of the book is in a organized manner. So like you have a book of 1 to 100 pages and you go through with 65 pages, but one of your kid, or you can say that your naughty sibling, has torn out that 66 or 67 number page from the book. Then you are not able to link the way it should be when the pages would be there, 66 and 67. So after 65, you have to go to 68 page because 66 and 67s are torn out by your sibling. So this is the same case. We need a reference, and that is a hash of previous block. So now consider the example of three different blocks. So there are three different blocks. As you see, each block contains its own hash and the hash of previous block. So then block number 3 points to block number 2 and block number 2 points to block number 1. Now the first block is a bit special because it does not connect it to any previous block or it does not have any previous hash. So that's why it is called as Genesis block, and we mark the previous hash as 0 for this block. Similarly, like I given the example of a book, if anybody wants to tamper the data within this block, or you can say hash with this block, then it will tamper the complete data within the chain. So let's say you tamper with the second block, the hash value, you tamper the hash value of second block. This causes the hash of that block to change. In turn, the block 3 and following all blocks will be get wrong previous hash value, which makes it a invalid. And so changing a single block will make all the following blocks invalid. But using hashes is not enough to prevent tampering, because hashes is not enough to prevent tampering, because there are supercomputers who with the uh, more power of computation, and they can compute thousands of hash in a day. So to mitigate this possibility, blockchain implements something called proof of work. So proof of work is a mechanism that slow down the creation of new blocks. If I take example of Bitcoin, it takes 10 minutes to calculate a proof of work. And after that, it adds a new block in the chain. So this is the mechanism which makes blockchain more secure, because it's hard to tamper the proof of work. Because if you tamper with one block, you will need to recalculate the proof of work for all the following blocks. So using proof of work, it's hard to tamper the data. Earlier, I talked about the miners. So the miners are the special one, or you can say the miners are the nodes which are connected to the peer-to-peer network, which are mining the data. By mining the data, it means they are validating or verifying the data that has been coming from previous blocks. So by mining, it means miners has given up mathematical, complex mathematical puzzle to solve, and by solving this particular method or mathematical puzzle, they will get a reward. So you now the question comes in your mind that what kind of reward miners can get. So miners get a reward of 12.5 Bitcoins. In the same way, if the data validated by miners considered as faulty or wrong, then they also punished for the same. So it's a reward and punishment game. So if the data is valid, then you got 12.5 Bitcoins. But if the data that you have validated is faulty, then you have to give a penalty of 6.5 Bitcoins. So there is a competition going on between the miners when they are solving that particular puzzle until a new block is added. So also the information of the miner that who is working on solving that particular problem is still not known to any other miner till the block is added to the ledger or the blockchain. Once the block has been added, after that the miner's details are displayed or disclosed. So I hope you guys are understand till now. So we are good to proceed. Now the another question comes around in your mind that if all the information or all the things are shared in a peer-to-peer network, and all nodes connected to a system is has their own copies, and all are able to see that what is transferring from one node to another. So the question arises in your mind is, what about privacy? So in blockchain, we are using the technique of cryptography, in which we are using the public key and private key to send and receive the data. So the public key is also called as asymmetric key, which makes up a pair by having a public key and a private key. So in such a system, anybody can encrypt a message using the intended receiver's public key, but only the receiver's private key can decode the message. So the message which has been shared using the public key is in an encrypted form, and it can be decoded only using the receiver's private key. And if I talk about the private key, so private key is used for both encryption and decryption. So the key is shared between sender and receiver of the encrypted sensitive information. The private key is a symmetric key because it is shared by both parties. Private key cryptography is more faster than a public key mechanism. So you can consider it as with your email address and password. So you can consider email as a public key and password as your private key, because public key you shared with everyone, but private key you can take with yourself only. So this is public key and private key. So in the Bitcoin process, or you can say blockchain technology process, how information passed from senders to receivers. So first of all, the sender sends a message or pass the message through a hash function. Then the output of that hash or message is passed through using a signature, or you can say digital signature, to other users' private key. Once the transmission has been taken place, the user's message plus the digital signature, the public key has been transmitted over the network to all the nodes. And at the receiver's corner, the message is passed through using a cryptographic function to get a hash value. So the hash value is compared with the previous hash value, that both the hash values are matched or not. So like in previous example, I shown that block passed to the next previous hash value of the previous block has been passed to the next block. So this is the same concept. It has been involved the digital signature and public key at the receiver's end. So how this makes the blockchain technology as a secure technology. So now we talk about blockchain variants. So there are 4 different blockchain variants. So the first one is public blockchain. आपने वो गाना तो सुना होगा, ये पब्लिक है भाई, सब जानती है ये पब्लिक है. So public blockchains are permissionless blockchains, and you can say that it is open to all. The network is open for all, and public blockchains allow all nodes of the blockchain to have equal rights to access the blockchain, create new blocks of data, validate blocks of data. Full transparency is there in the public blockchains. And the next one is private blockchain. So private blockchains are the permission blockchains, or you can say that managed blockchains controlled by a single organization. So private blockchains are not open as public blockchain. So they are open to some authorized users only. And these blockchains are operated in a closed network. And few people has the authorization or allowed to participate in a network within an organization. So for private blockchain, you can consider it as being the intranet. You can take an example of intranet for private blockchains, while the public blockchains are more likely the internet, which is open to all. The next one is federated blockchain. So like in private blockchain, we have one organization who is owning all the network or technology. But in federated blockchain, or you can say it as consortium blockchain, are the permission blockchains in which a group of organizations are involved instead of one entity. These blockchain therefore enjoy more decentralization than private blockchains and resulting in high levels of security. So in this, it has a validator nodes that initiates, receives, and validate various transactions. And the member nodes who are connected to this particular type of blockchain can receive or initiate transactions. And the last one is hybrid blockchain. So you can consider hybrid blockchain as combination of public and private blockchain. So the superpowers which are, or you can say the major benefits of public and private blockchain has been used by hybrid blockchain. So hybrid blockchain are the blockchains which are mixed content of private and public blockchains, where some part of the system is controlled by some organization and others make visible to the public blockchain. So in hybrid blockchain, it is using the smart contracts uh, term, and users can access various information via smart contracts. Also, the primary entity who owns this hybrid blockchain cannot allow to alter the transaction details. So these all are the blockchain variants. So now come to the next part. Why is blockchain popular? Or you can say benefits of blockchain. So first one, as we earlier discussed, that it is highly secure by using the concept of proof of work, like it is using the digital signature feature to conduct fraud-free transactions, which makes it impossible to corrupt or change the data of an individual by other users. Like I already mentioned that it is next to impossible because to hack this blockchain system, a hacker requires 51% of consensus from the number of nodes connected to a system. And those nodes are not at single place or single location, which makes it very difficult or next to impossible for the hackers to hack this system. This makes it highly secured system. The next one is decentralized system. So as we discussed that blockchain is a decentralized system and we do not require any third party or a central agency to conduct any kind of transactions or data, which make transactions more smoother, safer, and faster in decentralized system. So take an example that you are doing you have to perform a transaction using your bank account, and your bank account has been shut down for 4 or 5 days due to holidays, due to which you are not able to perform your transaction due for those 4 days because you are dependent on the bank, which is the central agency who is having all the control to make those transactions. But in case of blockchain, which is decentralized and 24/7 available, this kind of problem will not occur. The next one is automation capability. So like the blockchain technology is a programmable and can generate various system actions, events, and payments automatically when the criteria of the trigger has been met. The next feature is transparency. As I earlier mentioned that the data that has been transferred from one node to another node is transparent to each of the node, which makes, and though that data is accessible only using the hashing and digital signatures, which makes the blockchain a secure technology. The last one is reduce transaction costs. So blockchain allow peer-to-peer and B2B transaction to be completed without any need of third party, which means that they actually reduce cost to the user or business over the time. Which, like take an example, so like you have to perform a transaction of 10 lakhs from one party to another. So while doing that transaction, you have to pay some service charges to your bank. So blockchain technology overcome this cost because we do not require any third party to perform transaction. Party A and B are connected with each other without any interference of third party, and they do not have to pay any kind of service charges. So this way, blockchain reduce the transaction cost. So now come to the companies across the world who are using the blockchain and various sectors. So various companies using blockchain in various sectors like bank and finance, supply chain, healthcare, insurance, energy, real estate, trade, government, etc. So like take an example, how like Walmart is a renowned company and everyone knows about it, and how they are using the supply chain in their system. So earlier Walmart was facing an issue where people or customers were returning goods with an issue or saying that the goods are not of good quality. So now in an organization of Walmart size and scope, it was quite difficult to determine whether the bad from where the bad products are originated from within their supply chain. So to ensure that their reputation was not tarnished, Walmart incorporated blockchain technology into their supply chain. So each event and detail which is within each step of the supply chain was logged. Now in this scenario, where a product was bad or returned by the customer, Walmart will be able to determine where the issue with the product originated from their supply chain. So this is how Walmart is using blockchain technology in their supply chain to overcome the returns made by customers for the goods with a bad quality. So similarly, other companies are also using in different sectors. So everyone knows that if there are advantages or benefits of a system, then there are also some disadvantages or limitation of the system also there. So that goes for blockchain also. So blockchain also has its own limitations. So let's go through by one with them. So first of all, lack of awareness. So many of the people sitting in this session today does not know about blockchain, and also people do not about the true value of blockchain and how they could implement in a different situations and different sectors. So this is the first limitation of blockchain. The next one is limited availability of technical talent. So in today's era, we also have various type of developers or engineers who are available to do any different things in every field in different technologies. But in the blockchain technology, there are not so many developers available who have specialization in the blockchain technology. Hence, the lack of developers is also a hindrance to developing anything in the blockchain. The next one is immutable. So Earlier, I mentioned that we cannot update any information in blockchain. So it is also a drawback of blockchain. So if you want to update any kind of record or any kind of revisions or reversals, then you are not able to do so. For example, you have processed the payment and need to go back and then make any kind of amendments to change the payment. But with blockchain technology, once the block has been added in the chain, we cannot update the data in that block. So this is also the drawback of blockchain. Next one is key management. So like we have discussed about private key and public keys. So as blockchain is built on cryptography, which uses these public and private keys. So when you are dealing with private keys, then you are also running the risk that somebody may lose access to the private key. So when Bitcoin has been launched, and in those days, people would just collect a lot of Bitcoins, and then suddenly they forgot the private key, what it was. And that lost worth million of dollars today. Next limitation is scalability. So blockchain like Bitcoin has consensus mechanism which require every participating node to verify the transaction. So which limits the number of transactions a blockchain can process in the network. So as I mentioned that if we have 100 nodes in a system, then we require a 50% consensus from all the nodes. 51 nodes will provide their consensus, only then they are able to perform a transaction. So due to which the scalability decreases. And currently, if I take an example of Bitcoin, so Bitcoin can process a maximum of 7 transactions per second. Last one is consensus mechanism. So in blockchain technology, we know that a block has been created in every 10 minutes. It is because every transaction made must ensure that every blockchain in the network must reach the common consensus of 51%. So depending on the network size and the number of blocks or nodes involved in a blockchain. So if you see that currently I'm taking example of 100 nodes, but imagine when there are large number of nodes connected to the blockchain network, like it's 1,000, 10,000, 20,000, then we need a consensus of 51% nodes from that 10,000 nodes, which involves a back and forth communication to attain that consensus, which can consume a considerable amount of time and resources. So these all are the limitations of blockchain. So if now we come to the future of blockchain. I think I have already taken a lot of time as 3 minutes left for 4 p.m. So let me try to finish. Uh, so future of blockchain. So economy and finance sector will lead blockchain applications in the coming time. And the next one is like national cryptocurrencies will appear. So currently various countries has been adopted Bitcoin as their cryptocurrency. If I take an example, Central African Republic countries, Kenya and Nigeria has accepted Bitcoin as their currency. And next is blockchain integration into government agencies. So in various countries, government has adopted the blockchain into their government areas or government sectors. So if I take example of West African country, Sierra Leone, who is using the blockchain technology in their voting system. They have used this system in the last election that they had. And the next is blockchain experts will be in high demand. So like I already mentioned in the limitations that currently we do not have much blockchain experts available in the market, but in the coming future, there will be huge demand for the blockchain experts. And the last one is law integration into smart contracts. So currently, if I talk about India only, so in India, we do not have the Bitcoin currency legalized or, but there is rumors that we have legalized the Bitcoin as a national currency. So legal or law integration are in process for that. So once that has been done, Bitcoin can be considered as a currency for India also. So these all are the concepts that I try to cover. I hope you all guys understand what I have covered till or so far. So now it's the quiz time. So which give me a confidence that whatever I have shared till now with you guys, you understand those things. So it's just a simple form, Google form that you have to submit with your responses. Hima, could you please share the link in the chat window?
Yes, sir. I've shared it.
Thank you. Guys, please fill your responses corresponding to the questions that has been given in the survey. So that's all from my side. Thank you. Any kind of questions, queries you have, please send an email to me so that I can cater your queries there. Because currently our time is already up and many of us have different sessions or meetings that they have to attend. So if you guys have any kind of queries, please reach out to me via email. Thank you.
Thank you for the session, sir.
Thank you, Emma. Till now got two responses. Guys, please fill the form and submit your responses. Hema, I think we are in a good shape to end the session.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much for the informative session, sir. It was really very nice to know all about blockchain. Thank you so much. And yes, we are good to wind up the session.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining the session. I hope you enjoyed and learned a lot from this session. So thanks again.